Hey everybody, this is Rustin with Metalholic and The Examiner. Today with us, the legend himself, Shelton Hank Williams III. How are you doing, brother?
All right, hanging in there. Just shaking off the last tour and gonna see what's gonna happen next.
Yeah, you just wrapped up a pretty grueling tour, as you said. How are you feeling? I've always wondered, because given the length of your shows, aside from not doing interviews while you're on tour, how do you protect your voice?
Well, I mean, I've had to change a couple things over the years. I can't, that's basically what I've had to do. I've just had to change a couple things to preserve a little bit of the twang at the first part of the show. But mainly it's, pacing yourself, only speak when you have to, save it for the stage, exercises, warm-ups, stretching, all that fun stuff. And it just, doing the multi-genres and stuff, that's the most important thing for me. When I don't have a good voice, I just feel like I'm cheating the audience a little bit, and that's why I'm always wanting to give them 110% and put on the best show that I can.
Well, I don't think anybody could say you've ever cheated the audience. I got the opportunity to see you for the first time when you came to Boise a week or two ago, and I have to admit I was blown away. Such incredible energy for such a long evening.
Well, thank you, man. We've got to play in Boise many years, so it's good to keep coming back. And it's always a little tricky right through there. Altitude's always tough. If it's Montana, Idaho, or Colorado, those are always a challenge with your voice. Sometimes it takes it, sometimes it doesn't. But when we were there, if you were at that show, I think it was better than when I was there last year as far as how I was feeling and the way the band was feeling.
Well, it was an incredible show, so I appreciate it. I got to say thank you for that because it was my first experience. So,
all right.
And it was incredible to see such a mix of people, from old-school country rednecks to hardcore metalheads, stoners, hillbillies, bikers, and babes. Everyone was there. Does it surprise you that you get such a great cross-mix?
Well, not really. I mean, that kind of crowd has been there for a certain few people, and just being open-minded and doing what I've done for so long, people know that, I get all those kind of folks under the same roof, and they all get along. And it took a few years. Some people just didn't understand what I was doing. And to some people, they would take it personally and get offended by it. But if you look at history, Hank Williams was playing rock and roll before rock and roll was. Move It On Over was basically rock around the clock before it was said. Hank Jr. always leaned towards Southern rock, and that's what he identified with. For me, I identified with heavy metal and hardcore and punk rock and that kind of work mentality on the do-it-yourself mode. And, David Allan Coe, when he's singing about the long-hair redneck, he's talking about the hippies and the bikers, the cowboys, and there's always been a lot of folks out there that understand listening to Pantera and Slayer, and also listening to Johnny Cash and Hank Williams and Waylon Jennings. So I think the walls have been beaten down a little bit over the years, and music is music, and different kinds of music helps people with different kinds of emotions.
Right. Well, and I was about to say, people always seem to be surprised by your metal side, but I always say Johnny Cash was metal before metal knew what it was. Do you get tired of the labels?
Well, people can label it all they want, man. I mean, it's music and it's energy and different styles for different people. When I went and saw St. Vitus the other night, he was like, well, people call us doom metal, but when I was growing up, it was heavy metal. Simple as that, folks. Here we go. And people can label it a million different ways, but all in all, it just depends if you're getting connected to the folks through what you're saying and what you're doing, and that's what's important.
Absolutely. So now, how do you maintain your sanity on a tour like you just did? Because it's a huge tour, and you really are the guy. You don't have a manager. You're just coordinating pretty much everything.
Well, I'm so used to doing it. It's a lot of pressure, a lot of intense highs and lows. The road is always tough. It's not for everybody. It's only for certain people with the kind of way that we tour. And I've always toured to keep our ticket prices as low as possible. I started, I was playing in bands before this in vans and tri-state areas, but when I started doing over 200 days a year on the road with a crew of 12 people in a bus, I was like, all right, we at least got to have a place to sleep at night. And in 1995, 96, I was able to do it for $7 to $8 a show. And nowadays, I'm able to keep it from 18 to 25. And that's important to me, that people, the common working man and the working woman, can come out and afford the show, buy a beer. If they got some money and want to support us, buy a T-shirt, and hopefully have $20 left at the end of the night. So that's kind of what country music is there for. It's the working man blues in a lot of ways, and I've always had that outlook. Henry Rollins always told me, all you need is good distribution. You do everything else yourself. You already know your sound. You work hard. You got your following. You stood on your own 2 feet. You carved out your niche. Booking agents and distribution is that's all I need, really.
Yeah.
But that's not for everybody. That's just, for what I do.
Well, and it's great that you do what you do for the fans, not just the music, but try and make it, accessible for us to get out to buy it, to come see it. And I don't usually talk politics in interviews, but you've always carved your own path, and this is perhaps the most important election of our lifetime. How do you feel about the state of America right now?
Well, I just know everybody's hurting, and as far as jobs and all that stuff. So everybody is a little depressed, but there's a lot of things to be not depressed about. And it could be a lot worse. And that's the main thing. That's what that music is there for. That's what all your family and your friends are for, is to pull you through the hard times. And here soon, hopefully, we'll have a new breath of fresh air that's going to hit everybody. And, it would be really nice to hopefully have the war come to an end soon and the economy to pick back up and just get a few more jobs out there for a lot of the people. So that's all we can do is hope for the best.
Absolutely. Now, you've always got a lot of little side projects in the work. Any new albums that we can look for you to make a surprise appearance on?
Well, Junior Brown came out to the house not very long ago. There's a song with David Allan Coe we're trying to get out there. I still don't know what I'm going to do this winter. I'll probably play local. One of my main guys having a really big operation, so he's been with me over 12 years and knows over 150 of my songs. I don't even have to tell him. Every show that we do, I don't have a set list. We just kind of go for it. Maybe during 3 Bar Ranch there's a set list, but the rest of it's just kind of feeling it out. And I'm waiting for Sean to get through the surgery and get his shoulder back in action, and then I'll be out there on the road again. But right now I might make another record. Could be a country record. It could be a hillbilly record. I'm not sure yet.
Right.
But time will tell.
And in between now and then, Kurt will probably release 4 more albums.
Well, they can do what they do, and I'll do what I do, man. It's a new beginning for me, and I'm just, glad to be able to tour and sell my own CDs at my show and help some people through some hard times and just hanging in there just like everybody else.
You've worked with some great people. Is there anyone in particular that you'd still like to work with?
Oh, there's tons of people, man, that I'd like to. I would say right now, Dave Lombardo came up to us once after a show, and he's like, man, I'd love to play some country drums. And I'm like, well, you're a hero. You always have been. You're one of the few that can do that style, and that would be really cool one day to be able to work with him. And every time I get to work with one of my heroes, it's always, nervous and exciting for me. But right now, working with Dave, that would be an intense kind of experience. So.
And Dave's the guy who can sort of do everything too. I mean, he just did that new film project that is Harmonious, which is awesome. So.
Yeah, he's very busy, very talented, and who knows what the future holds. But me being, working on the drums myself, I personally would like to, hang out with him a little bit and get a little bit of hillbilly boogie going on with him.
Well, a couple more quick questions here, and we'll let you get out of here. You dedicated Attention Deficit Domination, speaking of heroes, to Lane Staley. What do you think of the post-Staley Alice in Chains?
Well, you got to look at the guys that stuck through the times and pulled through, and Jerry's a musician, and he's wanting to keep, the band alive, and that's totally understandable. And so I've never got to see the new Alice in Chains, but that just says a lot. I always admire people that have hung in there so long, like Willie Nelson and Lemmy and Iggy Pop. All these guys that have done it for so many years and still able to go out there on the road and hammer it down. It's always amazing to me. So, it just goes back to showing how Jerry is a musician. He loves playing. He loves gigging, and that's what's important, man. It's a shame we lost Lane as young as he was. He was always a massive vocal influence to me. He was just one of those guys that had a huge range, and, it was a sad ordeal, but the music always lives on, and it's there for life, and I'm glad they left behind a very powerful mark with that band.
All right. So last question then. Music takes up so much of your everyday life, but what else are you passionate about outside of music besides family, of course?
There's all kinds of stuff, man. I mean, I like working outside a lot. Cutting grass, weed eating, working on trails, running the dogs, a little bit of art here and there. There's all kinds of things. But I would say I'm usually pretty busy. It's hard for me to sit still. I'm usually doing something all the time. So, and that's kind of my outlook. I got the rest of my life to kind of be still and not do a lot. So I've always just had a high energy kind of level. But I don't know, running the dogs, man, and being with some friends, and I'm always trying to figure out how to play drums better, how to play guitar better, how to work on pedals, how to change the belts on the lawnmower, and fix a carburetor. So there's so much I want to do. It's like not enough time in the day sometimes.
Well, we appreciate the energy. We love the music, of course. Shelton, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us. It's certainly a treat, and as I said, getting to see you for the first time was really an eye-opener for me, so I got to thank you for that. So,
if we ever do make it back, we always try to start earlier than later. We usually don't have an opening band, so we try to start right on time. And for collectors out there that like to collect vinyl, Hank3.com is the best place to get the vinyl records. So on the Country, the Doom, or the 3 Bar Ranch.
Awesome, and it's all absolutely wonderful. People need to get out there and pick it up. Thanks so much for taking the time. I'll let you get out of here because I know you got a lot to do.
All right, man. Thank you much.
Take care, brother.